Okay, so when you hear the name Meryl Streep, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's, well, a legend, right? An untouchable icon. But what if I told you that behind that myth, there's a far more complex and frankly a much more fascinating story? We're going to deconstruct that legend and take a look at the real woman, the one who was shaped by incredible love, devastating loss, and some really intense battles.
First, let's just talk about the myth. It's so huge it's become this pop culture punchline, like this famous line from Modern Family. The whole idea is that she's so brilliant, so beyond capable, that she could literally play any role imaginable and just nail it. And for decades, that's pretty much been the story everyone's agreed on. And I mean, look, the numbers totally back this up. 21. Just let that sink in. A staggering, record-breaking number of Oscar nominations. That's more than any other actor in history. So the industry itself has put her on the highest pedestal possible. By every classic measure, she is the most decorated actor of her generation.
But here's the thing. That pedestal, it's not as solid as you might think. Over the years, some pretty serious cracks have started to show. Not everyone is buying into the Meryl myth. In fact, some of the critiques have been incredibly sharp, and they've come from some very, very big names. This one, for example, set off a political bomb. Back in 2017, Streep used her Golden Globe speech to criticize then-President-elect Trump, while Trump, not exactly known for letting things slide, hit back on Twitter, calling her one of the most overrated actresses in Hollywood. And just like that, she was thrown right into the middle of a political firestorm.
And it's not just politics. The criticism is also coming from inside the house, from Hollywood itself. Sharon Stone, in this really blunt interview, basically argued that the whole Meryl Streep thing was created by the industry. Her point was that by lifting one woman up to this almost godlike status, you force every other amazing actress to compete against this impossible ideal, which kind of diminishes their own incredible work.
Stone even said, quote, "I'm a much better villain than Meryl." Now that is a bold claim, especially when you think about the characters Streep has played. We're talking about the icy Miranda Priestley, the formidable Margaret Thatcher, and the deeply complicated women in films like Kramer vs. Kramer and Sophie's Choice. These aren't simple heroes. They are complex, difficult, and often really challenging people.
And then the #MeToo movement arrived. Actresses were planning to wear black to the Golden Globes to protest sexual harassment, and Rose McGowan called out Streep directly. She accused her of hypocrisy because she had worked with Harvey Weinstein. Streep responded, saying it hurt to be attacked, and insisted she never knew about Weinstein's crimes. She also said she had deep respect for McGowan's bravery.
So you have all these public fights, but to really truly understand Meryl Streep, the artist, we have to go back to this brutal, transformative time in the late 1970s. It was a real trial by fire, a period of love, loss, and on-set conflict that would pretty much define the rest of her life and her career.
Just look at how incredibly compressed this period of her life was. In '76, she falls head over heels for the brilliant actor John Cazale, Fredo from The Godfather. A year later, he's diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. She takes a part in The Deer Hunter, a role she didn't even want, just so she could be with him on his last movie set. He passes away before the film is even released. And then, almost immediately, she dives into filming Kramer vs. Kramer, the role that would win her very first Oscar.
Their friend, Al Pacino, he saw it all up close. He said her devotion to Cazale as he was dying was just overwhelming. You have to remember, she was only 29 years old, nursing the love of her life, working non-stop just to pay his medical bills. She later said she was just crazy about my own powerlessness. And right after that unimaginable loss, she walks onto the set of Kramer vs. Kramer and finds herself in a professional nightmare. Her co-star Dustin Hoffman was a big believer in method acting. On just the second day of filming, he slapped her, unscripted hard, across the face. He reportedly taunted her with John Cazale's name to try and get a reaction. He even shattered a wine glass near her without any warning. So that intense emotion you see on screen, that wasn't just acting. It was fueled by very real grief and what sounds like genuine on-set torment.
And this, apparently, wasn't the first time. Streep later said that years before, when she'd auditioned for a play he was directing, Hoffman introduced himself by saying, "I'm Dustin Burp Hoffman," and then groped her breast. She called him an obnoxious pig.
So, how do you possibly recover from a period like that? For Meryl Streep, the answer was to build a fiercely private world, a life completely separate from all the chaos of Hollywood. And she built it fast.
Just after Kazali died, Streep's brother introduced her to his friend, a sculptor named Don Gummer, and it was a total whirlwind. They were married just 6 months later. They went on to have 4 children and built a life far, far away from the Hollywood spotlight in Connecticut. When people would ask about their long marriage, she'd say the secret was goodwill and willingness to bend, and to shut up every once in a while.
Which makes this recent news all the more shocking. In late 2023, the couple announced that they had actually been separated, quietly, for over 6 years. The fact that she was able to maintain that level of privacy for so long while being one of the most famous people on the planet, well, it says everything about how fiercely she guards her personal life.
So, how do we bring these two Meryl Streeps together? You've got the untouchable icon on one side and the woman who has gone through immense hardship on the other. Well, the answer seems to be right at the core of her art: empathy.
You know, Streep is often pushed back on this idea that actors should be limited by what they've personally experienced. When she's asked why she plays characters so different from herself, she shoots back, "Should I have played women from Central New Jersey all my life?" For her, imagination is the key. It's the bridge to understanding another person.
And this really gets to the heart of her mission as an artist. She sees herself as a kind of translator, a conduit of mutual emotional understanding. It's why she says he's drawn to difficult characters, prissy women, disagreeable women, women who are hard to love. Her job, the way she sees it, is to find their humanity and then explain it to the rest of us.
And that's what connects it all. For Meryl Streep, the hard work of developing empathy, of truly feeling what it's like to live another life, it isn't some burden. It is the source of what she calls an actor's singular joy. Her ability to inhabit these other lives seems to be powered not just by incredible talent, but by this deep well of her own profound experiences, both the tragic and the joyful.
So that kind of leaves us with this big question, doesn't it? Is that almost supernatural ability to make us feel what a character is feeling something that comes just from skill and imagination? Or is an actor's greatest gift actually forged in the fire of their own life, transforming all that personal pain and joy into this universal art of empathy?